All right, for our main event, the second of our two quarterfinal matchups tonight. This one for the Bellator MMA Light Heavyweight World Championship. Let's go to the tail of the tape.
Tail of the tape, both have outstanding records. Look at the difference in age. That's really the only difference you have to look at here. The reach is very similar. This is gonna be fantastic.
The champion, Nemkov, the number 2 ranked Davis for the title and a spot in the Grand Prix semifinals with the official introductions. Here once again is Michael C. Williams.
Bellator MMA live on Showtime from Mohegan Sun Arena. The time has come for fight number 3 of the Light Heavyweight World Grand Prix quarterfinals. Tonight's main event, 5 5-minute rounds for the Bellator Light Heavyweight World Championship. Sanctioned by the Mohegan Tribe Department of Athletic Regulation Chairman James Gessner, President of Sports and Entertainment Tom Cantone, and supervising at Cage Side Director Mike Mazzulli. And now, first introducing the blue corner. At 6'2", weighing in 205 pounds even, the former Bellator World Champion as a professional enters with 22 victories, 5 losses. Fighting out of San Diego, California, by way of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, the challenger, Phil, Mr. Wonderful Davis. And across the cage, the champion fights out of the red corner. At 6 foot, weighing in 204.5 pounds. In his first title defense, he stands perfect inside the Bellator cage at 5-0, and overall, as a professional, 13 victories, just 2 defeats. Fighting out of Stariovsko, Russia, he is the defending Bellator Light Heavyweight World Champion, Vadim Nemkov. And the referee, Dan Mergliata.
All right, gentlemen. All right, guys, been through the rules in the locker room. I want you to obey my commands at all times. I want you to protect yourselves at all times. If you want to touch gloves for luck, do it now. Good luck to both of you.
Dan Mergliata set to referee our main event tonight for the Bellator MMA Light Heavyweight Championship in this quarterfinal in the Light Heavyweight World Grand Prix. That is what is at stake. That plus a spot in the semi-finals. Phil Davis riding a 3-fight win streak. The champion, a 7-fight win streak. This is round number 4 between Davis and Nemkov, the champion with red tape around his Grand Prix gloves, and Davis with blue tape. And you alluded to the fact that both Davis and Bader were able to take Nemkov down in their previous meetings. We know that Davis is capable of grinding out wins, but John, we've mentioned this before, he's sometimes his own worst enemy with low offensive output.
Yeah, I really want to see Phil start off just a little bit quicker than he normally does. Push the pace on Vadim. Make him work, make him be a little uncomfortable. Doesn't have to be for the whole round. Just in certain moments, make him have to just have that RPM going a little high.
Calf kick lands for the champion on the lead leg of Davis, and the champion sticks Davis with a jab to the face. Nemkov, trained by the last emperor, the legendary Fyodor Emelianenko. Emelianenko knows about competing in Grand Prix and Pride Fighting Championships as they renew acquaintances here in this, the first of a possible 5 rounds.
Well, one of the things I always say is tough as a champion, you've got the target on your back, you don't have the target on your opponent. Vadim has made it a statement that he wants to finish Phil Davis. Phil has never been finished in a fight. He wants to be the first. Nice right hand by Vadim.
Double jab, trying to blind Davis with the jab before following up with that overhand right. Again, attacking the lower leg, the calf kick. The de rigueur calf kick in MMA.
Oh, that is,
nice right hand by Nemkov.
Off balance by Phil, but the shot definitely landed. He was off balance. That's the kick that I was talking about, that he needs to attack that leg.
Oh, and an exchange again where Nemkov was able to land a right. Nemkov has 7 wins via first round knockout. While Phil Davis has 3 first-round KO victories as we near the midpoint of our opening round. Nemkov again working the jab.
That's one of the differences right now in Nemkov from 2.5 years ago. Nemkov was very good with his movement before, used his hands, but he didn't have the jab. He didn't work off of the jab the same.
There is Fedor Emelianenko and Nemkov's older brother, who we saw in action earlier tonight on the prelims. 2 minutes remaining here in the first round. Haven't seen a lot of the kicks other than the kick. Well, on cue, they're attacking the calf, but remember, it was a head kick followed by punches that landed Nemkov the championship against Ryan Bader.
It was, but you can see right now as Vadim is moving, he keeps on trying to step off to his left to land that big looping overhand right. So far, Phil has not fallen for it. Just needs to be very careful of where he places his chin as he's coming out.
Final minute here in the opening round. And again, we talk about the low offensive output for Phil Davis. Seeing shades of that again here in the opening round, John.
You know, it's you watch fighters for so long and they're so good, and we've had, you know, other fighters. Benson Henderson is a guy who usually starts a little slow, and even though he tries to just bring up that pace in the beginning, they have a normal flow. They like to look, you know, look at what their opponent's doing, and you've got to step on the gas at times in the beginning.
Right now, Nemkov has thrown 50 punches, Davis 27. Davis has landed only 4 punches. Nemkov 17 here in the final seconds of the first round.
Nice body kick by Phil.
But a good start by the Bellator MMA light heavyweight champion, Vadim Nemkov, in his maiden voyage as the man with the gold slips and falls as we come to the end of the first.
Break. Good job, gentlemen. All right, second round, gentlemen. Let's go. Fight.
Round number 2 scheduled for 5 in the Bellator MMA Light Heavyweight World Grand Prix quarterfinals. What did you think of the advice cooked up by Phil Davis' corner in between rounds, John?
I didn't quite agree with it right now because he's saying they're basically telling Phil he's having a hard time finding you. No, that's just not true. You take a look at the punch stats, you look at what happened. I would say that Vadim is way ahead as far as landing shots. But
Davis blocked that high kick and then lands the right hand. So Davis definitely a more aggressive start here in the second round, getting busier with his feet. And there's a counter right hand over the top by Nemkov.
What you just saw out of Phil, that's a left.
Oh, a cut around the left eye of the champion Nemkov. I don't know if that was a punch or clash of heads.
Phil likes to take a big step off to his left with his left and throw that lunging right, but he throws it flat. He doesn't overhand it. He likes to throw it flat. That might be what actually cut Nemkov.
As of now, the blood just trickling down the side of the champion's face. It's not inhibiting his view, it appears. Coming up on a minute and a half gone in the second stanza. And again, a lot of feinting, but not a lot of leather being thrown. There's a 1-2 combination that lands for Nemkov. And the kick by Davis.
Phil Davis getting a little bit more aggressive, but still trying to be careful with what's going on. Again, he landed that big right hand. That was the cause of the cut. But since that point, it's kind of held back a little bit. Hasn't thrown as much. Just need to see a little more output.
The main event of Bellator 257 for the Bellator Light Heavyweight Championship in this, the Light Heavyweight World Grand Prix. Mauro Ranallo, Big John McCarthy, cage side. We are joined by Jen Brown, Josh Thompson, and Ryan Bader at the fight desk.
Nice counterattack by Vadim.
Midway point of the second round. Inside leg kick lands for Davis.
That jab has found a home repeatedly for Nemkov. Phil needs to just get his head off that center line.
Jab lands again. This time he drops Davis. Nemkov pouncing on Phil Davis, who got dropped by that combination. Davis now looking for the takedown. Picking up the single leg, wants to run that pipe, but it's being defended here by Nemkov.
He's not just trying to wrestle, he's trying to close that gap and stop what Nemkov is able to do in hurting him at this point. He took a big shot. He needs to have this type of clinch to get his wits back in place so he can continue in the fight.
As Big John mentioned earlier, Phil Davis has never been stopped. This is his 29th professional fight as a mixed martial artist. A minute and a half left in the second. Davis trying to take Nemkov down here in round two, and proving to be very difficult as Nemkov's looking for the guillotine.
He's got that in place. Nice job by Phil backing out, but you could tell it was tight by the way that Phil reacted.
Again, Nemkov launching the right hand. Final minute of the second. Been a strong round for the champion, including a knockdown of the challenger, Phil Davis.
Really, we've seen a repeat of the first fight, but a little bit better performance by Nemkov in this 2 rounds than we saw in the first 2 rounds. He has upped his game.
And he is sticking to the striking. I remember, surprised some with that high amplitude takedown of Phil Davis in the first fight. 30 seconds left in the second.
30 seconds.
Wow, both guys swinging on right there.
Swing and a miss. 15 seconds left, and again, Davis loading up, looking, fighting for the takedown. Nemkov with the knee up the middle as we come to the end of round 2. Great round for the champion, Nemkov. Phil Davis made his MMA debut in October of 2008. The champion Nemkov debuted in May of 2013. They begin round number 3 here in the Bellator 257 main event. Nemkov's title and a spot in the Grand Prix semifinals at stake. It's the champion Nemkov in the red tape around the Grand Prix gloves, while the challenger Davis has the blue tape around his gloves.
And continuously, we're seeing Vadim Nemkov get the better of the exchanges. When those exchanges take place, he's the one usually landing the better, cleaner shots. Phil needs to start working that jab.
That kick was blocked by Davis, who was sticking out the jab. Front kick by Davis, a push kick that didn't land, and Nemkov really doing business with that jab, as you mentioned, John. Really effective.
But one of the things he's really given up on is the kicks. He's that leg kick he's kind of gotten away from. Kicks to the body, could bring the kicks up high. He needs to bring that back into his game.
There's a calf kick by Davis to the lead leg of Nemkov.
That was a hard kick by Phil Davis.
And again, it's a huge edge for the champion in terms of total strikes landed. We talk about that low offensive output for Phil Davis, and it continues to be the bane of his existence, John.
Yeah, well, obviously in the first fight, the 3rd round was the round that Phil Davis did really well in. And he needs to turn this fight around, because right now I have him down 2 rounds to none.
He continues to get tagged upstairs by Nemkov. Nemkov again, blinding him with the jab, and then follows up with the right. The kick from Davis, off-balance kick.
Off balance. Nemkov is starting to overextend a little bit too. Watch that big right hand that he's throwing. He's getting himself out of position.
Double jab, follows up with the right. Under 3 minutes left in the third. Davis with another low kick. And again, that right hand lands for Nemkov, and Davis comes back with a right.
He does. Nemkov sometimes is starting to lunge a little bit. He needs to just move his feet in. Don't lunge.
Davis has to try to find a way to time that 1-2 by Nemkov.
Nemkov is throwing that 1-2 and that big looping right hand. If Phil Davis could just take a little bit of a lean off to the side and come with a counter, his opponent is open for that strike to land.
Stiff jab employed by Nemkov. Culminates that combination with a body kick. There's a right cross that almost landed for Davis. Davis, 2 inches taller, and has a 2-inch reach advantage, although not taking advantage of it.
Sometimes it's all about the angles. The real difference in this fight, as far as what has made, in my opinion, Vadim have success, is that jab. He keeps on sticking that jab in the middle of Phil's face, and he's able to then land the right hand off of it. That jab has been a huge difference in this fight.
Davis trying to land that chopping right hand again, John, and not being able to find the distance.
And one of the things I really felt that Phil Davis needed to do was not so much go for the takedown so much, but at least when he got Nemkov close to the cage, push him against the cage. Go a la Randy Couture as far as just making him have to carry your weight. Hit him with little dirty boxing, bring the knees in, all those things just to wear him down and slow him out. He hasn't done any.
Yeah, he's not dictating the terms of the pace. It's Nemkov that comes forward. Now Davis comes forward, lands a knee to the body on the exit.
After a clean left hook to the body by Nemkov.
Final 20 seconds of the third. Nemkov again coming forward with a 1-2, and it appears we are headed. Oh, and Nemkov changes levels, gets that takedown on Davis as we are headed to the championship rounds of this quarterfinal matchup in the Grand Prix. Nemkov's first title defense against a guy looking to become the first ever 2-time Bellator light heavyweight champion, Phil Davis.
Right.
And you hear the Davis corner. Sorry, John. It's time to pump up the volume.
It is. They're right. Right now, I've got Phil Davis basically down 3 rounds out of the 3 rounds that they've fought. So he needs to turn this up. He is good enough. He's got enough potential. He can take a fight at any moment and turn this thing around. So he needs to start putting some pressure on Vadim. Figure out that jab, get his head off the center line, and start bringing him.
Davis with 2 wins over Lyoto Machida, including in his last fight, holds victories over the likes of Alexander Gustafsson, Antonio Rogerio Nogueira, King Mo, Glover Teixeira. I mean, he has an impressive resume. You heard Ryan Bader say maybe one of the most underrated fighters in Bellator, and yet here he is in tough against Nemkov, the champion, who's been using the fundamental, the jab.
It's exactly what he's been using. He has basically focused his attack off of that left.
There's a combination for Davis.
Slipped off the top a little bit, but at least Phil's throwing. He's got to throw. He's got to go after him. Nemkov needs to go back to that leg kick.
Будет проходить дальше, будет цепляться к тебе. Будет цепляться, держи его дистанцию.
Phil trying to time those kicks to the body as he's throwing.
Now two left high. Dive him back.
2 minutes gone here in the fourth.
3 minutes.
Total punches landed. A wipeout for Nemkov. And just a 12.5% percentage rate in terms of success for Davis.
Сталкивай его. Держи его дистанцию. Держи. Держи его левой прямым.
There needs to be an uptick in offense. Both guys here, championship rounds. Who wants this fight? Who wants to walk out as the champion and move on to the semifinals? Nemkov has been content to continue to deliver the jab and is ahead on Big John's unofficial scorecard. And now Davis trying to drum up some offense.
That was nice. Nice kick to the body by Phil. Tight little kick.
You know, Nemkov telling us all week he was going to stop Phil Davis. That was his goal, his intent, as he changes levels, looking for the takedown, but it's Davis defending, gets the back of Nemkov momentarily before they come apart.
Both guys are so slippery right now, it's hard to hold on to anything.
Outside, Phil, break him down. Give him a way out. Low kick. Now right straight, make it straight. Low kick. Now right outside, Phil.
Calf kick by Nemkov before moving to his left. A minute and a half left in this, the penultimate round of our main event. As again, Nemkov looking for the takedown, stifled by Davis.
This is a situation right here. This is where Phil needs to really open up with those knees. Really get after it. Don't hold back. You've got to create some action right now. Dirty box.
We've seen much improved cardio out of the champion as we talk about him training at high altitude in the mountains and serving them well. Oh, gets clutched with that left from Davis. Under a minute left here in the fourth round.
That's the kind of punch that can change the fight in just one moment. Phil needs to go after that again.
Tight punches. We got it here, Phil. Don't worry about it. 3 seconds. Let's go. Let it go. 3 seconds. Got it. You got it.
Hit by Davis, the right hand from Nemkov. Again, that right hand landed just behind the ear for Davis, and that has caught the attention of the champion Nemkov. Heading into the final 15 seconds of the fourth. If Davis can continue to land that right hand, things could change in the fifth and final round. The Bellator Light Heavyweight Championship up for grabs. It's down to the final 5 minutes. Nemkov looking for his 8th straight win. His first successful title defense. Davis looking for 4th consecutive victory since losing to Nemkov in their first meeting in November 2018.
Well, did you just point out that this is the first time Nemkov has ever been in a 5th round?
I think you just did. I was going to ask you about how the unofficial scorecard might look after 4 rounds. We got some drama in this 5th.
The drama's gone. I have right now Vadim up 3 rounds to 1. I gave that last round to Phil Davis. I thought he landed a beautiful left hook, big overhand right. Those were the telling shots of the round.
He needs more of those in the 5th.
Yes, he does. He's got to open up. He's got to go after it.
And of course, for Nemkov, he'd like to continue to work that jab as he does right there. And John, give us your take on total strikes landed.
It's real simple. Look at 129 compared to basically 50. There's a huge difference of output in what is actually landed. Nice, beautiful combination by Vadim Nemkov right there.
That's what makes combat sports so compelling, So intriguing is that despite those stats you just see, Davis can change this fight in an instant.
It only takes one.
Blood beginning to trickle down the side of the champion's face again. Knocks Davis off balance.
More of a push.
Calf kick lands for the challenger, Phil Davis. We saw Corey Anderson stop Yagshimuradov in our first quarterfinal match. And here we are 3 minutes away from going the 25-minute distance here in our main event. Right hand by Nemkov, misses with the left, and Davis' hands are down, moving forward, leading with his head, however. Misses with that sweeping left hook, and he's got to start putting together combinations. 2.5 minutes left, and that'll stop everything.
Sure.
Based upon movement, you see that little movement right there by Nemkov as Phil was throwing the kick. Wasn't intentional.
Champion takes next to none of the 5 minutes that he's allowed to recover as we continue here.
Which is telling you something. It's not telling you anything about the groin shot that occurred, but it's telling you Vadim Nemkov believes in his conditioning, because if he was tired, he'd be taking a longer break.
We mentioned the fact that he showed even in the third round. The first fight went 3-round distance, and he began to fade in that third round thanks to the pressure that was being put on by Phil Davis, and much improved cardio and not as much pressure being put on by Phil Davis, John.
No doubt about it. You know, that's Josh Thompson talking about it. He thought that Phil Davis pushing this fight could get this into the championship rounds, and that would be the difference maker. It has not turned out that way.
You didn't have to give Josh the credit. You could have taken credit for saying that.
Why? It was wrong.
Body kick by Davis.
Good kick by Davis.
Minute and a half left in the fight. Another kick by Davis.
He's trying, man. He's putting pressure. He's coming after him.
And there's the naked shot by Nemkov, stuffed by Davis. Davis now looking for that choke, but now it's Nemkov. Slippery, sweaty, fifth and final round.
Huge difference. You got all that sweat involved.
And yet Nemkov looking to take the back, wanting to get in both hooks. And Davis now fighting for it. Knee to the midsection by Phil Davis.
These guys are so well matched.
Minute left in this championship fight. Pummeling by Davis. Both of them looking for position. 45 seconds left. Davis employing the body lock. 30 seconds left in the fight. Knee by the challenger.
Knee by the challenger, trying to bring it up high, trying to make something happen right there. Just right now, if he's in this position with these underhooks, he needs to break off. He needs to do something that's going to be a big finish.
They went the distance in Tel Aviv, Israel. That was a 3-round fight back in November 2018. Here in our main event, quarterfinals of the light heavyweight World Grand Prix, this championship fight goes the 5 full rounds. So we await the tabulations of the judges' scorecards. Who will make it to the semifinals? Let's go to Michael C. Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen, having gone the distance in this world title fight, we'll go to your 3 judges at cage side. All 3, Ron McCarthy, Brian Miner, Jacob Montalvo, all have it exactly the same at 48-47 for the winner by unanimous decision. Advancing in the light heavyweight World Grand Prix, and still Bellator light heavyweight world champion Vadim Nemkov.
Vadim Nemkov staves off the challenge of Phil Davis, remains Bellator light heavyweight champion, has now won 8 straight. as he wins the first rematch in his professional career and books passage to the Final Four, the Light Heavyweight World Grand Prix, as king. Let's go to Big John.
Vadim Nemkov, congratulations on a fantastic fight. You guys went back and forth in that. It was your jab that seemed to be the big difference maker in that fight to me. What do you think about what you changed from the first fight to this fight?
Поздравляю тебя с победой. Спрашивает, что ты думаешь поменял после первого боя, подготавливаясь к этому бою?
Я особо ничего не менял. Моя задача была работать в стойке, перебивать его и защищаться от борьбы. Все у меня получилось. В принципе, боем доволен, но есть ошибки, над чем работать.
My plan was to outstrike him today and defend the wrestling. I'm pretty happy with my performance, but I have mistakes and I'm going to work on them for next time.
Many people were considering that you had never gone into the championship rounds. You'd never been in a 5-round fight. Your conditioning was fantastic in this fight. You pushed the pace, and you were able to get 3 takedowns where Phil Davis got none. Is that surprising even to you?
Многие думали, что дыхалки недостаточно будет до 5 раундов. И как обстановка была на 5 раундов?
Я готовился к этому бою. Я знал, что бой продлится всю дистанцию. Его очень тяжело нокаутировать и закончить бой досрочно. Поэтому я готовился и старался распределить силы на весь бой.
It's very hard to knock out Phil Davis, so I was getting ready for a 5-round fight, and I knew it was going to go the distance, so our conditioning was on point.
Well, your conditioning was fantastic. You look fantastic. Congratulations on a victory and remaining the Bellator light heavyweight champion, and congratulations on moving on in the World Light Heavyweight Grand Prix. You look fantastic.
Поздравляю тебя с проходом на следующий этап.
Спасибо большое. Спасибо большое компании Bellator за то, что дали возможность участвовать в таком турнире Гран-при. И хотел бы передать приветы домой на родину. Хочу передать привет Андрюхе Санину, Женьке Литвину. Он у меня друг, приболел очень сильно. Ребятам передам привет в ресторан «Каша», в Старую Мельницу, и Белгород, Староскол, Томаровка, и вся Россия, и всем, кто переживал за меня. И американским фанатам тоже привет.
Just want to say thank you to Bellator for putting such a good Grand Prix on, and thank you to all my Russian fans and American fans back home as well.
Congratulations to Vadim Nemkov, still the Bellator light heavyweight champion of the world.
Всей моей команде, всем, кто помогал готовиться, спасибо. Давайте будем помогать и готовиться к следующему Гран-при, к этапу Гран-при. Спасибо.